Greetings and welcome to week 5, Justice 131, Rural Alaska Justice. This week we're talking about law enforcement's partners. We're talking about what the rural court system, what the rural jail, what the rural prosecution looks like. As we work through this chapter, I think we'll find that it looks a lot like rural law enforcement. The authors seem to have, as we've noticed in the previous 4 weeks, a soft spot for rural justice. I think they think that it does a much better job, bottom line, than urban justice does. But then they also seem to hit the same thesis that there's a real lack of resources. And some of you have mentioned that in your discussions, that the difference between rural and urban is that you don't have either sufficient resources or immediate access to sufficient resources. And I think the authors are talking about that this week also. So kind of the same. And then we're going to talk about in your discussions this week kind of that same reasoning. Have you, in a job you've had in the past, job you have now, have you suffered under lack of necessary resources to do your job? If so, what did you do about it? Did you just not accomplish the job? Couldn't do the mission? Did you think out of the box and come up with some creative way? Did you beg and plead for more resources? That's the discussion point this week. So be a good chapter. We've got this chapter and next chapter. Next chapter is really interesting next week. It's kind of a catch-all of everything else. Where is the future of rural justice going? And they just throw 30 topics at us rather briefly and kind of try to project the future. And after that, we're done with this book. And then week 8, we will go specifically into a little deeper research into real Alaska issues. Violence and safety out in the villages, court systems out in the villages, things like that. So, coming up on the halfway mark, I want to talk just for a second about the midterm coming up because it's kind of an interesting midterm. One, it's worth 200 points. So it's worth a lot. It's worth 10 weeks worth of discussion board. I put a lot into the midterm in your final. It's a big part of your grade. You get to pick the subject. We have had, the book has given us a multitude of subjects that we have read, studied. Our discussion boards, the chats, have come up with all kinds of interesting things. I want you to find something that's been particularly interesting to you. Is law enforcement just a job? Are new officers different than old officers? How do we get by with a lack of resources? Do we really, really enjoy the community service, the community policing that we get to do on a rural level that we don't get to do on a larger urban level? Find something that you've just had a real fun time discussing or thinking about or writing about, and that's going to be your midterm subject. And then I want you're going to make a PowerPoint for your midterm. You're not going to write. And I do that because we write every week, because writing is the bane of most officers. There's nothing that will frustrate your sergeant or your chief or your prosecutor and bring more glee to the defense attorney than a poorly written report. So that's why we write a lot, and I really count grammar and sentence structure and punctuation and those type of things, because the defense attorney will, and he'll fry you on the hot seat if you don't write well. We're going to do a PowerPoint kind of for the same reason. We don't do a lot of them. If you're recently out of college, recently out of high school, it's probably a tool you undoubtedly have in your back pocket, and you did make a lot of. If you're of my generation, you've done probably quite a few less, and it's a skill you need because you'll have to make one eventually. In fact, in some circumstances, you'll make a lot of them all the time. So it's a skill you need. If you don't already have it, need to learn it. If you do have it, great, polish it up a little bit. If you haven't made a PowerPoint and you really need some help to learn how, YouTube has got 1,000 videos on making a PowerPoint. I can sit here and walk you through it, but they'll do a much better job. And there's an unlimited amount of resources out there. Go to YouTube, search for, uh, you know, making a PowerPoint, creating a PowerPoint, PowerPoint tips, um, and they'll show you everything you need to do. It's not hard to do, but you need to know how to do it. If you don't have PowerPoint, if it's not part of your software in your computer, there are a number of open source programs out there that you can make PowerPoints for free. You just download a simple little program. Look in the syllabus. I've put some links in there on how to find open source, open document software to make PowerPoints. Where was I heading? Let's see. Pick your own topic. Oh, the PowerPoint. It's not hard to do a PowerPoint. Sometimes it seems hard, though, to make a good one. We've all suffered death by PowerPoint. I just finished the 2-week Recert Academy in Sitka, and every single class had a PowerPoint that went along with it. And some of them were amazingly bad. You can't imagine in this day and age, not to throw my buddy, the prosecutor, under a bus who taught criminal law. We go back a long time together. He is a friend. But his PowerPoint was amazingly bad. He taught criminal law, and so he had PowerPoints and he had slides of every single criminal statute that we will ever bump into. And he'd throw it up on the wall, and then he would read it to you verbatim. Theft for means the da 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 da. So you not only had it up on the screen and you could read it, he read it to you. Horrible way to do a PowerPoint. Don't turn any of those in, you will flunk. PowerPoint, the slides should the slides should have something that helps you remember, keeps your attention, illustrates a point. It could be a graph, it could be a chart, it could be a quote, it could be a picture, but don't throw whatever it is you're talking about verbatim up on the slide. Just stick a paragraph, cut and paste a paragraph up there, and then read the paragraph, okay? We've all suffered through that. Don't do it. You'll notice when you make a PowerPoint, there is a way to put the quote or the slide or the picture or whatever in the document that goes up on the wall. And then underneath that, there's an area called notes. And that's where you write what you want to say. And I want to see both. Don't just send me a PowerPoint that just has pictures on it, 12 pictures. I'm thinking about 12 slides ought to be about what you're shooting for. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but 12's pretty good. 12s are pretty good. If you do them all right, 12's are pretty good A paper. 6 is probably not an A paper. Anyway, put your pictures or your quotes or your charts or your graphs or something up on the wall, and then in the notes section, tell me what you would say. Say, we can see by this chart that the number of burglaries have decreased since we brought dogs onto the department, or whatever. You're not gonna type that and put that paragraph up and read it. You're gonna have a picture of a dog. You're gonna have a graph that shows crime going down since you bought the dog, and that's it. Your notes section will explain what you're looking at and what the audience is supposed to get out of it. So do both. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Be the midterm. Call me, write me, do whatever if you need some help. If you think, oh no, my God, I'm going to drop this class because I can't possibly make a PowerPoint. Not true. All of us could do a PowerPoint. All of you do it real easily. In fact, if you look at your weekly assignments, I gave you the option every week of either writing me a paper or just doing a PowerPoint, and some of you have done that. So I mean, some of you know how creative and interesting you can be making a good PowerPoint. So see you inside. We'll discuss limited resources in the bush, and give me a shout if you need some pre-help on the midterm.